Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you a bag that I have set up for any kind of emergency response with my ham radio club. Alright, thanks for joining me today. This is a bag that I set up because basically in a couple of weeks I think I have a presentation that I'm going to be giving to our local ham radio club. This is a bag I've set up to respond to an event with our ham radio group. I'm also active in CERT, which is the Community Emergency Response Team. And of course they give you a bag, but most of that bag is all first aid stuff. And while I bring it along, this would be a sustainment bag. So a little bit of the reasoning behind the bag. We live in a fairly rocky, wilderness, remote area. Yeah, there's 30,000 some odd people here. But when emergencies happen, they usually require you to be ready for pretty much anything. And again, the last emergency we had, if you look way back on my old videos, we were actually 911. We set up around town with our mobile radios, and we were the 911 service because it went down. Anyway, so that's kind of the reasoning of this bag. Now, this bag looks huge. It is a big bag. It is not heavy. This is packed with lighter gear. This isn't a bug-out bag. This is more of a comfort sustainment bag. If you've ever done these kind of events, sometimes they'll tell you, oh yeah, we're feeding you in an hour, the truck will be there, and you haven't eaten since breakfast, and it's like 11 o'clock at night. So it's good to have some food, a way to cook it, some water, whatever. I'm going to go through the basics of this thing. I'm going to show it to you. I'm also going to be using this bag, once we cool down a little bit and stop raining, for a camp out one night. I'm going to take this out into the woods, and I'm going to camp out probably into the mountains because there's not much woods here. It is the desert. And I'm going to camp out of it for a night and see how it works. So I'm going to test the gear out. Now, most of this gear is stuff I already had. The bag itself is off Amazon. It's I believe the brand name is Dalink, D-A-L-N-K. And it's a military 80-liter tactical rucksack. I kind of am a little disappointed that it isn't one like my bug-out bags. If you've watched some of my older videos from a couple years ago when I did my bug-out bag reviews, they zip here, and you can kind of turn them on their side and pull stuff out, so it makes it a little easier. This is one of those, just pile everything in the center of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the insides here and dig through the pockets, and then I'm going to move the bag away and show you what's in the main compartment. And give me a second and I'll get that all set up for you. All right, the first thing that's pretty obvious to everybody, and again, this is just a radio for representation. I don't know that if I take this or my VX7, this is my little bow fang. It is connected to a little speaker up front, little speaker mic. Let's pull that off here so you can see. So, I mean, I do have my portable emergency ham radio kit, that has the solar panels, and I've done a video on that too. You can check back. Let me pan the camera over really quick. If you look down there on the floor, there it is. So I always keep that charged and ready, and it's sitting down there ready to go. But that's for something if I'm doing this, without vehicle transportation. If I'm just going out somewhere to look for something, and we're using repeaters. Now, the bag itself weighs about 25 pounds with the gear in it. Actually, no, I think it was 28. Thinking of a different bag. 28 pounds, so it's not bad. I will say this much for this bag. This was a cheap bag. It seems to be fairly well made, and it's comfortable. It's really comfortable. Almost more comfortable than one of my smaller bug-out bags that I usually use to test and walk around in. It's a pretty darn comfortable bag. So we're going to go into the pockets. First up top here is all of my electronic gear. I have extra batteries. Notice they're right up top. Extra batteries for the bow fang and a USB charger for the bow fang. That will come in handy when I show you the panel. So that will definitely come in handy. I have some gloves, an extra pair of socks. I'm not too concerned with extra clothing. I do have extra clothing in my vehicle. Most of the time, if I need to change, I've got a change of clothing in there. And a little package here. Now this has those Ready Man cards, a notepad, about 50 feet of paracord, a little bit of duct tape wrapped around an old hotel key card key, and some quick light. Good old snap lights. All right, now we'll move to the side. Now the side, very basic loadout here. I have a sharpener and a little strop I've made out of a piece of leather. A Mora, and my Mesa Buck, what is this, 632. I figure that's more than enough to get anything done. Again, this is not going to be like bushcrafting adventures while you're talking on the radio. But if I have to chop up some sticks to make a fire, if I have to make some stakes for a tent, whatever, it's in there, it's ready. Now we'll do the other side. And again, this can be, you know, like I said, I'm active with CERT, and they give you a nice little backpack, but it's mostly got rescue gear and first aid stuff. Really not much for you in there. So if you've worked with governments before, you know that when they say it'll be right there, it's usually 20 to 30 minutes, or, oh yeah, the shelter is coming for you guys. Well, I have a tent in here, so I'm not worried about it. Over here is the fire kit. These are those little fire sticks that I got. I have an extra one of this with some tinder in it. I'm trying to work without this finger because I cut my finger pretty bad the other day. My little homemade ferro rod. The rod isn't homemade, but the handle is, of course. And something I have in case I need to make more tinder. A lighter and a flint and steel kit. This is more, I really wouldn't carry this. This is really because this bag is going to be set up for me camping. We're going to be testing out all these little skills and stuff. I'd probably just carry a ferro rod. And when I get this finalized, because this is a work in progress, when I get it finalized, I may not carry the flint and steel, but I'm also doing a fire demonstration for my ham radio club, so that's why this is in here. Anyway, that's pretty simple. Just a very basic fire kit. You don't really need a ton of stuff. Again, we're not, this isn't bushcrafting adventures. This isn't, a going away forever survival adventure. This is just a way to sustain yourself in an emergency. On the bottom here, I've got my little water filter. This is one sent to me by Hydro Blue. I really like this filter. I've used it a couple times. I've demonstrated it, but I've used it a couple times just for my own use and just to test it. Comes out really nice. It's got the straw too, so you have an individual straw or the filter. And I've got some of the Koglins drinking water purifying tabs on the bottom. So all that stuff is really easy within reach. Right in the front, right I can grab at, no problems. So when we come back, I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to show you what's in here. Oh, and I did forget one thing. On top is first aid. First aid kit, all sorts of stuff in there for first aid, and an extra space blanket, just in case I get, cold somewhere, and a poncho, in case it's raining and I'm walking. So that's first aid kit, right on top, ready to grab, in case of an emergency. So we're going to move this, and I'm going to show you what's inside. All right, so something I did forget to mention in the previous segment of the video was the bag over here. You can see it in the corner. They are no longer for sale. It's currently unavailable. They have no idea when they'll be back in stock. I will put a link to the bag. Because it's so comfortable, the buckles and stuff can be worked around. But because the bag is so comfortable as a hiking bag, I just walked up and down my street with it. And it's just, I was like, wow, this is like, doesn't even feel like I have anything on. So I will put a link to the bag because I think it's a good bag. I think we could work on the buckles a little bit, and I will do that in the future. But I like the bag. So let's get the inside here, the main compartment. First thing I have in here is Mountain House freeze-dried stuff. Real simple, about 3 to 4 days worth of food. It's probably overkill, but I'd rather have it than be hungry. So it's not all that heavy, I have a cook kit. You saw me review this one before. This is the Eco Camp Outdoor Gear Cook Kit. I have a nice little neat addition in here. I didn't do a video on this, and I'm really bummed because I really didn't think I could do it. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think I could pull it off. But I have my own little homemade spoon in here. I made it, carved it up, burned a little design in it. So it's kind of cool, I have utensils in there, but I thought it was kind of cool just to show people. It's really not that difficult to do once you get a spoon knife. So, anyway, real light kit. I did pull some of the stuff out of here because, let's face it, I'm going to be cooking for me alone in this. I don't need 2 bowls, 2 spoons, 2 cups, 2 everything. So, this has really been lightened up a lot. And it's light to begin with. Next up, I have 2 ways of cooking in this little bag. I have what you've seen recently, the E-Tech City stove in here. And that's this little guy here. I have a thing of propane. And I have another thing you've seen recently, which is the Lixada wood stove. So either way, if I run out of propane, I can still cook with this. I always like having two ways of cooking when I'm carrying a propane stove because you never know how long something's going to go on. I mean, granted, you don't think about this stuff, and you know, you think, maybe I'll have to camp out for a night, you know? But what happens if it's 2 or 3 days? What happens if California has a huge earthquake and Nevada's stuck with, you know, lots of residual damage from it? And there are fault lines in Nevada. So, just another backup for my backup. That's probably the heaviest item in here. What's next? My little desserts and coffee. I have a couple of Gatorade instant packets in there, lots of coffee because yes, I love my coffee. And a couple of pound cakes, cinnamon bun type MRE stuff, you know, just side dishes. Something really I can grab. You've noticed that was on the top too. Something I can grab if I'm not really ready for a meal, just want a snack. That's it on the food. Next up, now you've seen this. This is the Walmart $20 tent. And I want to do a video coming up on waterproofing it a little better. I did spray some waterproof on it, but it wasn't enough and it didn't really fully cover it. Because this doesn't have a bottom like most tents do, like a plastic kind of basin tub kind of thing, I really want to waterproof the heck out of that. So you will be seeing in the future a video testing this stuff out. Anyway, onward to the next thing. All right. Next up, air mattress. You saw me review this. This is, I believe, WFS air mattress. The bag is actually bigger than the mattress. Fairly light, fairly simple. Makes for a little more comfortable situation. I can blow this up. I can set up in the tent. I can set up my portable ham radio stuff. And I can operate somewhere as a relay from here to Vegas, if I have to, just by driving up to Mount Charleston. These are the poles for the said tent. I have in here, and this is another bummer, it doesn't have the hydration pouch. I'm not going to pull it all the way out because I have the front, you know, weaved into the strap. But it is a, 3-liter water bladder. And I just stuff it in here. I have filled it up. Again, the bag's 28 pounds without water in it. With water in it, it'd probably be a little heavier. But I definitely feel that needs to be full before I leave with it. And there isn't a pouch in there to put it, but it's kind of a bummer. But I'll live. All right, this is my lighting and some more electronics in here. I have a headlamp. I have a little charging battery bank. This is a Walgreens cheapie special. I think it was $5.99. It's supposedly 5,000 milliamps. I didn't put a bigger one in here because I do have the solar panel. I have some extra batteries. I have a little AM/FM radio that only works with earphones. And I have a headlamp and a flashlight. There's your headlamp there. And that's a little plug for the stuff there. That's the radio. All right. I think there's one thing left in here. And this is, if I can get it out. There we go. Military sleeping bag. Don't mind the cheesy camo I sprayed on it. This is a regular military sleeping bag. It's just the inner sleeping bag. It doesn't have the outer liner. I do have the whoopee inside there as well, which I'll show you in a minute. This is fairly light for a sleeping bag that can take you down to, I believe it's 20 degrees rated. And if we get that cold here, we're lucky. And of course, here's the whoopee, the blanket that I can use for an extra insulator. So that's about it. That's the gear. It's basically, again, it's a sustainment type thing. This isn't a bug out. This isn't a run off into the woods with my rifle type thing. This is a respond to an emergency type kit. So that's about it, and that gives you some ideas. For those of you involved in MCOM or for those of you involved with CERT, don't just rely on a few things or your CERT bag or whatever. Most of the time I'll be responding by vehicle, so carrying the stuff around on my back probably won't be necessary, and I probably will be carrying my CERT bag because I'll be helping with search and rescue. but to have the gear and at the end of the night to say, all right, let's go make dinner, set up our tent and sleep is really handy. So anyway, that is my ham radio go bag. That's just the, I mean, it's kind of light on ham radio stuff because most of my ham radio stuff is included in my kit down there that charges. But it's a pretty handy little system, and I think I'm going to like it. I am going to take it out and test it. We'll do a video on that, but that's a couple months away when it cools off. We don't really cool off here till October, and being that it's Arizona, being that it's August now, and 112 degrees with like 50% humidity and storms, I'm not really wanting to take this stuff out in that. So we'll be doing that soon. And I thank you for watching. If you have any ideas or comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the bottom. Those of you involved in, in actual first responder work, if you have bags packed like this, feel free to let me know. Share the link. The more information we share, the better. So thanks for watching, and we will talk to you guys soon.